No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Goals were scored. A point was gained. Yet I have the sinking suspicion that Winnipeg Jets fans are not altogether pleased with tonight's result. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss the Winnipeg Jets 6-5 defeat at the hands of the Los Angeles Kings, a game that the Winnipeg Jets led by 2 goals on 3 separate occasions, yet couldn't somehow find a way to bring 2 points home to bed when they needed it so very badly. Gentlemen, good evening to you both on this Tuesday evening. A team that couldn't score a goal finally broke out on that front, but then a team that usually was pretty stingy, at least in terms of the goals against, gave up a whole bunch of them and ultimately dropped that 6-5 decision. How are you guys on this Tuesday night?
I think we're doing well. I can't speak for Dave, but I'm at Dave's house and we were doing well. So let's go with we're doing well. Yeah, Drew, five even strength goals. And we talked about it on the Saturday show, right? Like you didn't have an even strength goal somehow in the last 3 games. Like it's really hard to believe that's the case. Right. So you're happy with that. But you talked about it. You just mentioned it, right? Like you gave up, 3 2-goal leads. And obviously, I mean, the shootout is a coin flip. We're not going to spend any time on the post-game show talking about, the shootout because it's just, like I said, I mean, it could go either way. It's a skills competition. I hate it. I think a lot of people hate it. Maybe some people like it, but, they needed a clean 2 points here. And,
and it was there for the taking.
Exactly. And it's an unfortunate, like Dylan Sandberg falls down and, it leads to the Gabe Vilardi tying goal. It's unfortunate, but that Kings power play, guys, I don't know if we've seen, like, Edmonton's got a great power play. I realize that.
You're about to see it Friday, Saturday.
Well, exactly. But the thing, Dave, with that Kings power play is the second power play unit was just as good as the first unit. And I was saying to Dave here while we were watching the game in the third period, like, it's just great to see, like, obviously at the expense of the Jets, but, Anze Kopitar, everybody knows he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Just still crazy that he's still, it's unbelievable, Drew, that at this age, right? Like he's still, putting up these incredible numbers. And, that Kings team, I mean, they've got to be better defensively, and goaltending is obviously the huge question mark. Phoenix Copley obviously is not the answer. Yeah. I think he's done an admirable job. And it's crazy if you look at his record, I think he's only got 4 losses on the season. And obviously a lot of that has to do with the team in front of him. But Drew Doughty and Anze Kopitar were up to their old tricks. And I mean, you look at Josh Morrissey. I mean, what more can you say about him this year? He's obviously, in the Norris Trophy consideration, but, he had an incredible start to this game, popping in a couple goals. You love to see Kevin Stenlund. I mean, he gets the monkey off of his back, right? He pops in a couple goals. The shorthanded goal was huge. Like when that goal was scored, you're looking at that goal and you're saying that could easily be the turning point in this game. But yeah, I mean, breakdowns, turnovers, it's unfortunate that the Jets couldn't get the job done, but you obviously like the fact that they exploded for 5 Gs.
You like the 5 goals, as he's right about that, Dave. But I mean, ultimately, I think there's still far more questions about this team than there are answers, especially with their play over the last, 2 months. I'm going to say it's been close to 2 months at this point in time. Still more questions than answers. The schedule certainly doesn't get any easier with a back-to-back against the Edmonton Oilers. And I don't know if you guys watched last night's Oilers-Bruins game, but that game was being played in fast forward. And I'm really curious on Friday, and of course we're getting ahead of ourselves because we still have tonight to talk about, to see how the Jets can handle, that kind of speed, how they can handle McDavid and Draisaitl. And I know that they handled them once earlier this year already, but on a back-to-back situation,
they just have to go back to the bubble, Drew, when they swept them. That's all they have to do.
That's just
channel that, got to bring back that 2021 energy.
Yeah, just that easy, no questions about it. But I mean, there's still more questions than answers about this Winnipeg Jets team. Yes, they get a point. Yes, that is helpful because it's better than getting no points. But still, when you have 3 different 2-goal leads, Dave, you have to find a way to not give those up, particularly the fact that they had a 2-goal lead entering the third period. You have to find a way to shut down the opposition, and the Jets couldn't do it.
Yeah, and I was listening to our good friend Kelly Moore on CJOB when I was driving home from the game during the second period intermission, and I got to tell you, like, he read out the stats for what the Jets are when they're up going into the third.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like 30-3.
Yeah,
like they generally do not lose games when they've got a lead. I would say, generally speaking, probably prior to this team. And you're talking about a malaise of late, Drew.
Yeah,
a malaise of late. And one of the things they showed, one of the graphics they showed when we were at the game, but it was up, of course, the TSN broadcast is above us on the televisions. First 30 games of the season. So this was game 61. So going back, ignoring this game, of course, because it was before the game went live. 29-1 were the Jets. So 29-1. It's pretty respectable.
Yeah.
The last 30 games of the season, 15-15-0.
Hey, you're stealing my stats.
Well, that is, I know I was going to say it, but it is your stat. You mentioned it. I just was reiterating it.
I'm joking, Dave, because anybody can go to NHL.com and look up the schedule and the standings and everything like that. But yeah, they've been 500 for 2 months now.
That's right. And so anyways, I'm just saying that this is a team that has just not been able to shake what it is that is ailing them. And again, it's weird because it's not health, because they got healthy. Right. They've been a poorer team since getting healthy and losing the grit. And I know people say, well, grit, blah, blah, blah. Well, the heart, the way those guys played, sorry, but like guys, like I understand that the leash is always going to be a shorter for a Mikey Eyssimont or a Jansen Harkins or insert name here. There's the guy who will not be denied on shorthanded opportunities, Kevin Stenlund. But the fact of the matter is the Jets were winning. And again, it's strength of schedule, and there's a variety of factors. You can't just say, well, they had guys who grinded and showed more heart. That was solely the reason. The schedule was a lot different in the early part of the season for Winnipeg than it was later. But again, they were having more success with lesser talent in the lineup than they currently are right now with a completely healthy group. Sans, the 2020 first rounder, and Cole Perfetti. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, because they should be, again, like as he said, how many games have we watched now? The Jets haven't scored a 5-on-5 goal until tonight. So it's one of those inexplicable things from a team that makes no sense, given the fact that, again, they got healthy, and yet it's not on the Ehlers, by the way. I know folks are like, well, it's ever since Nikolai Ehlers came back. It's not all on Nikolai Ehlers, guys. Like hockey, you can't say hockey's a team game and then blame one player for the ills of this team. Sorry, it's not just Nikolai Ehlers. You can't watch these games and say it's not on Blake Wheeler. It's not on Kyle Connor. It's not on Mark Scheifele. It is a collective, not on Neil Pionk. The only guy who's probably a little bit exempt as he right now is Josh Morrissey.
If you're going to start pointing to guys, I mean, this might as well be 10-year-olds playing soccer, right? Like I remember when, a goal was scored, it would be one guy blaming the other guy. No, it was your fault. No, it was your fault. I wasn't even on the field. No, it was your fault. You missed that guy. You know what I mean? Like, it is definitely not one or two or three or four players. Like, you look at and we're going to get into the goals, as Drew mentioned. We have a lot of goals to get into here in this game.
I'm just going to not talk for a bit to keep my voice, nice.
Yeah, keep it fresh. I'll talk here for a little bit, Drew.
Exactly.
But yeah, like the goal, to get it going for the Kings in the third period, the Kopitar goal I'm talking about. Yeah, like there's a turnover in the neutral zone, right? Lowry turns the puck over, and Pionk goes to close. I think it's Adrian Kempe on the right side boards. And so Lowry just isn't quick enough to cover for Kopitar because Dylan's on the left side and he comes over, right? Like, so it's just poor defensive coverage. Like, how many times over the last few weeks, going back to that Eastern Conference road trip, have we talked about turnovers and bad defensive zone coverage? Like, I'm going to steal Mendelism here, attention to detail, right? Like, yes, the puck was going in for you tonight, right? Like, Morrissey popped in a couple. We talked about it. Stenlund, Shorty, a couple goals. Connor, we're going to get into that goal. Just what an amazing shot. I know a lot of people are, on social media, we're talking about, Phoenix Copley should have had that. I mean, that was a world-class shot by a world-class player. So I love that goal by Connor. But again, you had to hang on to a lead here. When you lose the first two games of this homestand, the way they did, losing 5-1 to the Avalanche and getting shut out by the Islanders, I mean, yeah, but you got to hang on to the lead here. You're in a wild card spot now. You're not in second in the Central anymore. So I just think that,
you've used up the buffer. They had a
Right.
buffer. They had all those points banked that we talked about in all those games earlier in the year where they were winning, and maybe they weren't necessarily winning the right way, but then there were games where they were winning the right way. They had that buffer. Well, they've used up that buffer. I mean, that is really where we're at right now. The buffer that the Jets had between them and the falling out of the playoff spot is practically gone, and we're going to keep a close eye tonight on what's happening between Calgary and Boston. There's about 12 minutes to go in the third period there. The Bruins lead 2-1. Did you guys happen to see the shots on goal in that game?
I know I know Calgary was 2-0 for the Bruins, but they were being outshot like 16-5 or something like that.
So after 40 minutes, the shots on goal, the Bruins were leading 2-1, but the shots on goal were 39-9 in favor of Calgary. So now the shots on goal.
Of course, he's dead, Drew.
Now shots on goal are 42-11, and Boston is still up 2-1 with about 12 and a half minutes to go. So we'll keep an eye on that as the post-game show
Is
goes
Linus
on.
Allmark in that?
No, it's Dan.
Later.
Oh, no,
later.
Vladar.
Yeah.
Because Swayman's injured, right? Or Swayman in Providence.
No, it's
I'm
Wool.
not sure.
It's I think it's what's his name? Wool. You know, their prospect.
Hang on.
I think.
I don't even know.
What happened to Swayman from Alaska?
Oh, you're talking about. Wait, are you talking about for the
for
Bruins?
Boston.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about for.
No, it is Allmark.
Well, technically,
sorry,
later.
Swayman played last. Swayman played last night for Boston against Edmonton.
When you said Dan Vladar, that's Calgary's goal.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah,
but
that's why I thought. I didn't know what you were talking about. I was
split it.
reading the chats.
Pretty
Yeah,
sure
he used to be for Boston.
Yeah.
He was on Boston.
That's why for a second there, I forgot that he was not Boston.
Yeah,
anymore.
Vladar got the start. He gave up 2 goals on 5 shots. It's been Markstrom for the second and the third period.
Right. And
So-
Calgary's had trouble in net all year long, right? Like
Mhm.
they're the only team right now that can catch one of these two teams, right? Like the Jets, the Oilers, like the Kraken, I guess. Like all these teams, like the West is so tight, but I really don't think Nashville or St. Louis has a chance.
No.
Like
Nashville's clearly selling.
Yeah.
St. Louis is clearly selling. So it's, there's 9 teams for 8 playoff spots
Right.
in the West, barring
Right.
something completely unforeseen. But I mean, let's not even, entertain that for the time being.
By the way,
Sorry, go ahead.
Before you start the Betway game recap, Drew, I do have one quick question. Was today the trade deadline?
No, it
Because
wasn't.
it really felt like it. Like I
I'm still
jokingly
trying to
said-
figure out the Rasmus Sandin for a first-round pick and Eric Gustafson. Like I realized that they brought in Luke Shen and Jake McCabe, but like to me that trade was just weird from the Washington perspective.
Well,
all I'm saying is it felt like, let me tell you, thank God we don't have to fill the airtime on Friday because TSN Sportsnet are going to have absolutely nothing to talk about because every trade will have been consummated.
Friday's just going to be Jacob Chikrin watch.
Well, no, he's coming to the Jets on Tuesday.
But today's Tuesday, Dave.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
So you're saying within the next hour and 43 minutes?
No, the Jets are going to trade for him and he just won't be eligible for the playoffs next
I
week.
think Dave's been spending too much time at Canada Life.
I
He needs a
think
little
so,
nap
too.
after tonight's
Yeah.
post-game show.
I do need
Calgary tied it up. So as we were talking about, Calgary tied it up 2-all.
Are you
11.
Eric Francis over here?
Well, I'm just keeping an eye on it. I got people in the chat telling me, and I've got it on the second screen on my right here. So there you go. Like I said, we keep people up to date on what's happening in that game as we go through it on the post-game show. Let's get into the Betway game recap. It's brought to you by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selection of betting options and sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Took about 3/4 of the first period, but the Jets did open the scoring. Again, a bit of a slow start. They were being outshot by a decent margin by the Kings, but you could see that there was maybe a little bit more energy in their game. Finally, the Jets do open the scoring. It's a 5-on-5 goal, as we talked about. It comes at the 15:52 mark of the first period. Josh Morrissey, his 12th of the year, assisted Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler. And there's nothing pretty about it. There's nothing exciting about it. It's just dig, hard work. Scheifele is sort of pounding away, trying to get the puck out from underneath of Phoenix Copley. He does, and then Josh Morrissey comes up and cleans up the garbage, giving the Jets the 1-0 lead. I was a little surprised. I mean, you've seen a whistle quicker In circumstances. I'm not saying there should have been a whistle, because there shouldn't have been, but it was. I'll give the refs credit on this one for not blowing that whistle too soon, because very often we would see an early whistle there before the puck was completely frozen.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what you like on this goal is that Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler are creating some havoc in front of the net, right? Like Wheeler was doing some good work behind the net, getting the puck back to Morrissey. Then Scheifele gets it back to Morrissey because the initial shot by Morrissey, I believe, was partially tipped by Wheeler. And then you're absolutely right. I think I saw like greasy goal at least half a dozen times on my timeline. Scotty Billick, Mike McIntyre calling it a greasy goal, just like Drew just did. And it was, right? But that's like what you like to see, right? Like Morrissey, how many times have we see him do the walk the line, kind of half spinorama, create some room for himself, and then just put the puck on net? And I like the fact that he goes in there and gets his own rebound. So you're absolutely right, Drew. This wasn't pretty, but that's the type of goal that the Jets need with the way they've been playing over the last few weeks.
Yeah, exactly right. It didn't need to be pretty. It wasn't going to be pretty. They needed to just put bodies towards the net and get rewarded. And they did here on this goal, Dave.
Yeah. And I just wanted to jump in and say, and look, and folks inside the building weren't happy because of course you don't have, like, they had one shot in the first period against the New York Islanders in maybe not a must win game, but let's see how the team responds game on Sunday. And they had two shots for 13 minutes of this first period. So, and LA had outshot them 9-2. And LA had that early power play, but still it was 9-2 in favor of the Kings. And you're starting to think, here they go again. And of course, worth mentioning, Pierre-Luc Dubois didn't play in today's game. He's dealing with a nagging lower body injury. Mason Appleton also didn't play in today's game. He's dealing with an upper body injury. He was highly doubtful for the game. Pierre-Luc Dubois was a game time decision. So the Jets, of course, went with 11-7. They went with 11-7 because they didn't have a choice. They didn't have the option to recall anyone because they're at the 23-man roster limit. Right. And of course, if they put either of those two guys on IR, neither of them would be available for the Friday-Saturday game against the Oilers. So that's, of course, why the Jets went with 11-7 and why Pierre-Luc Dubois would most likely be available, I would think, on Friday. And maybe Mason Appleton as well.
I thought you were going to see Kyle Capobianco maybe play center tonight, Dave.
Maybe. Who knew? And then also worth noting that David Gustafson, Rick Bowness, although it was funny because he took center of the fourth line rushes, which I thought was curious. But Rick Bowness had said that he needs 3 more practices and then he should be ready to go for the weekend, which of course is going to necessitate some sort of moves, some sort of waiver move for the Jets, because of course they're a 23-man roster. So I should have gotten that one in. And then just quickly on the goal, the one thing we haven't been seeing, and as he touched on it, but Mark Scheifele at least did some good dirty work, and Josh Morrissey going to the goal. And that's what you want to see from the Jets. And that's what you need to see, because it's been too much passing from this team, even, a little bit on that 2-on-0 with Scheifele and Kyle Connor, which could have had, a big impact in that game. But look, it's one of those things that you've been wanting to see from the Jets, and at least they got it done in that first goal.
It's certainly right. 3-2 Calgary now leading Boston, in case people.
Yeah, I put it up on the thing, Drew.
I know you did. Of course he's alive again.
Yeah, of course he's back alive.
Of course he's dead. Of course he's alive.
The Jets take their first 2-goal lead of the game, and this comes a minute and 43 seconds later. Josh Morrissey, his 13th assist to Dylan DeMello. And this is just, he's got nothing but time and space. I mean, the Kings end up with 5 guys on the right side of the ice, and the puck is with Josh Morrissey on the left, and he moves in from the blue line, and he moves even beyond the top of the circle, and he just unleashes a howitzer. And there's no traffic in front of Phoenix Copley on this goal, but there doesn't need to be traffic because it's a well-placed shot, and it's an absolute, just an absolute piss missile, if you want to use a football term, and the Jets have a 2-0 lead, and that's how it was at the end of 40 minutes, Dave. Pardon me, at the end of 20 minutes, Dave.
Yeah, I can jump in here. I think Dave was doing
Dave's
something,
tweeting. I think he's tweeting.
I was getting ready to tweet, but I'm done. I'm done my tweeting now. And look, Josh Morrissey took the team on his back, and that's just the way it was. I mean, you could see it because he's a guy who gets a sense of the crowd and of the moment and of the crowd and the necessity to do something. And it was a nice pass by DeMello, who got it over to Morrissey, and Morrissey wired it. I mean, that was a rocket. It was an absolute rocket. And it was big, right? I mean, a lot of milestones for Josh Morrissey. I detailed it, and I know a lot of these guys don't like to focus on personal accolades, especially when they lose. But, I mean, look, he hit 60 points for the first time in his career. His second goal, which is the one we're talking about now, that gave him 13 goals in 61 games. His previous high was 12. And he also later on hit his 50th assist of the season. So, I mean, as Ezzy said, when we were talking about it, watching the third period, I mean, the guy's been the best player for this Jets club this whole season. And that was a big moment for the Jets. It was a big moment. It was a big release valve for the crowd. You could sense it, right? Like there was a lot of positive energy with, Adam Lowry playing his 600th career game for the Jets. And then the Nino Niederreiter, entry to being welcomed into the building. And so there was a lot of excitement, but then again, the Kings kind of started things off and the Jets were slow. Now suddenly Josh Morrissey hits that release valve and you could sense the crowd was excited. They were amped up because of that.
Yeah, the Jets had got the 2-0 lead that they wanted, the 2-0 lead that they needed, and they're feeling good about themselves after 20 minutes, probably feeling good about themselves for the first time since that Rangers game, but even then they probably weren't feeling that great about themselves. That was more Hellebuck feeling good about himself. So it's been a while since the Jets had a 2-0 lead after 20 minutes or felt this good about themselves. Unfortunately, the LA Kings power play, which we talked about earlier in the preamble to the post-game show, it strikes early in the second period. With Neil Pionk in the box for holding. It takes all of 6 seconds for Anze Kopitar to get his 21st goal of the year, assist to Kevin Fiala and Drew Doughty. And that's just a good-looking power play, Ezzy. It's a fast-moving power play. It's crisp. It's got a lot of motion. It doesn't have a lot of standing still. And on this one, the seam pass had so much room that it wasn't even a seam. I think it was more of a cavern that they were able to pass it through. And Kopitar makes no mistake, wheeling and shooting from the side of the side of Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah, you're 100% right about the way it's almost like a perfect power play. And I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, like the second power play unit. So you mentioned, the goal Kopitar from Doughty and Fiala, and then you've got Gabe Vilardi and Adrian Kempe on there. But on the second power play unit, Deneau, Iafallo, Arvidsson, Durzi. Durzi's a guy that I've liked for a few years, and Arthur Kaliev, who I think was a 2019, the Heinola year, right, Dave, if I'm not mistaken? 2018 or 2019, he's a real good player for them. This Kings team, like, if they could get some better goaltending, I think they could become dangerous in the playoffs. I mean, they're already a dangerous team. They could easily finish first in the division. They could also finish in a wild card spot because all the teams are so close together. But you're absolutely right. Like when you watch that power play, like they have a purpose, right? Like it seems like they're always thinking like, let's score a goal. Like they move it fast. They have some guys with really good shots. Obviously, Drew Doughty is, looking like the old Drew Doughty when he won the Norris Trophy. But what I love about, this particular goal is it's just old school Doughty and Kopitar, right? And Kopitar has been good in the faceoff circle forever. But I mean, it's just, back to Doughty and, Doughty over to Fiala, and then Kopitar is just a little bit too wide open. It's just a one-timer. And like you said, it's 5 seconds after they drop the puck on the faceoff.
Yeah, it does not take long, which is a sign of a good power play, a well-executed power play. Brixton, say hi to the people in the chat.
By the way, Ezzy, just so you know, you are right. It was 2019.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yeah,
for Kaliev.
Yeah. Kaliev's a good player.
Yeah, he's a good. Yeah. I mean, you talked about the Kings and the need for goaltending and everything else because they've been the team that's linked to Jacob Chychrun a lot as well. And there was always talk about maybe a Chychrun and Vejmelka package. To make it even bigger. Can you add,
you're gonna have to give up something significant if you want those guys.
Well, I'm sure you are.
Brendan Lemieux.
I don't think Brendan Lemieux is going to be the.
What about Eunice Corpusalo too? That could make sense.
Well, I mean, he was held out of the Blue Jackets game tonight.
It's just Jonathan Quick has had a Hall of Fame type of career, but he's just not. He's not the guy anymore.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure. Is Cal Peterson injured still? I'm not sure.
He's in the minors.
He's in the minors. He's been so bad this year.
$5 million, 3 more years at $5 million in the minors.
Yeah, he's awful. Anyways,
Chychrun and Vejmelka makes a lot of sense though, Drew.
Well, they were talking about it. Now, do the Kings want to pay the price to get them both? But you get them both, you're getting a pretty good tandem right there. And time will tell. Obviously, Friday is a mere few days away, but the trades are happening every hour on the hour.
With Dave though, how many trades are there left? Like Toronto made at least 4 trades today,
and I'm not sure they're appreciably better than they were before.
Well, Cap Friendly said,
Ryan O'Reilly though.
I know Ryan O'Reilly, but aside from that,
but the Cap Friendly basically said, I think that this is the most.
It is,
in advance of the actual deadline in modern history, at least.
I think it said, yeah, like last year in the 2 weeks leading up from the
2 weeks
2 week
leading up,
period
yeah.
leading up to it, but like stopping like 48 hours before or something.
Right. Yeah.
There was like been like 13 trades last year, which was a high number. And this year, I think there's already been like 22 or something.
I think it was 24. I think it was 24
now?
after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys,
And it's
I'm actually still trying to figure out how many players the Devils got in that Timo
Meier. 2-1 for the LA Kings.
But I'm sorry, Drew, I just wanted to say one thing. And it was a constant theme for almost every Kings goal.
Yeah.
It was loss of a face-off in the defensive zone.
Sure.
I mean, and again, Jets were better, I think, overall today in the face-off area. At least they were for what I think they were. I know Scheifele was better, but the point is,
it was 54. So the Kings won 33 draws. The Jets won 28 draws. So
okay, so the LA must have taken over in the third. So I think my numbers were from the second intermission. But the point is, a lot of those defensive losses ended up in the back of not a lot, but technically a lot of goals.
Wow.
But I'm just saying, especially when they were trying. Look, the Kings. How many were those redirects? Right from from the
Kopitar,
point.
The Kopitar show look, his first goal was a power play goal. It was a beautiful goal.
Yeah.
But the next two goals, which were his, were all redirects.
Yeah.
I mean, and so and one of them was off a clean faceoff win where he beat Lowry. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Kyle Connor restores the Jets' 2-goal lead. It's at the 6:08 mark of the second period. His 27th assist to Mark Scheifele, assist to Josh Morrissey. It's a nice zone entry from Scheifele, nice clean zone entry. He leaves it for Kyle Connor. Connor comes down the left side, so to the right of Phoenix Copley. Doesn't look like this should be a scoring opportunity. It's a great shot by Connor. Ezzy, with all due respect, I think you're being a little bit generous to Phoenix Copley in talking up the shot and not mentioning I just didn't like his positioning. He makes himself small in the net, which is, it sort of comes sometimes with being a butterfly goalie. If you're not naturally a taller goalie, he just sort of made himself small. And Kyle Connor, he doesn't need a big window to shoot it into, and he's able to pick the corner very nicely and give the Jets the 3-1 lead.
I'll agree with you, though, Drew, that his positioning was odd because I don't think I mean, I could be wrong about this. I mean, we'd have to listen to if Phoenix Copley talked to the media about that goal, but it seemed like he didn't think Connor was going to shoot. That's what it seemed like to me. Like he thought, based on Connor's speed, maybe he's going to take the puck, but he's right, like at the side of to the right of Copley, like right where the faceoff circle begins, right? So it's a really bad angle shot. So yeah, Copley should probably have that, but I like that at least Connor, I don't know, if Connor is going to talk to the media, if he's going to talk about his goal, if he does talk to the media, I imagine he is going to talk about that goal, Dave. But clearly, he saw something there, and that was a shot that, it wasn't like you put the puck on the net hoping for a rebound. That was a shot where it was a well-placed shot. So yeah, it was probably one that Copley should have, but I just like it because, Connor's got that world-class shot. And especially considering that the Kings were starting to get some momentum, right? And that put the Jets up for the second time, up 2 goals. So it kind of took deflated the momentum a little bit for the Kings. But yeah, I mean, look at the goaltending for both sides was not very good tonight. Okay. Like when there's 11 goals scored, you can't say either. Most times you can, maybe say that, the goaltending wasn't great, but tonight there was a few goals on both sides that you'd probably like to have back.
3-3. Bruins tied it up on the power play. So 3-3, less than 10 minutes to go in Calgary.
Thanks, Jack Edwards.
You're welcome. I'm doing my job here. I hope I'm not Jack Edwards. I might get beat up by, who was it? Pat Maroon? Is that?
They made up.
Yeah, I know they made up. And look,
Jack Edwards. I mean, we've all met Jack Edwards. We used to have him on back in the TSN 12 90 days. He's not a big guy.
No, he's not.
Like Patrick Maroon is a big boy. So it's just funny.
It would not be a fair fight.
No.
It would not be a fair fight at all. 3-1 for the Jets. Anze Kopitar. He brings the Kings back within 1. It's his 22nd of the year, 9:14 mark of the second period. Assist to Alex Edler and Quinton Byfield. And you look, Saku Manalainen is not going to like this one. It's just a bad turnover.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a plain old bad turnover from a guy who
he had space, Drew. He had
to
cut you off.
It should have been a clean zone exit.
I don't know what happened there. I don't know if he just fanned on the shot or he got nervous or what happened there. But yeah, you just when you have an opportunity to move the puck up and you turn the puck over like that, like it's just inexcusable. And that's a guy that we've talked about. He has really struggled over the last 10 to 15 games.
Especially because when that guy doesn't have much of a reason for staying in the lineup. I mean, I'm in question as to why he's still always in the Jets lineup. I mean, I know it's his penalty killing skills largely, but this is an ugly one. And Kopitar, knows how to redirect pucks. He is always going to be in the cliche dirty area because that's where he makes a pretty good living and has made
the slot. That's where he gets his goals in the slot. Yeah,
and he knows how to redirect pucks. He's a world class
first ballot Hall of Famer. That's what I said last time. Yeah. He really is.
Yeah, and he knows how to tip pucks like nobody else, and he can get his stick loose and into the areas, and his teammates know where he's going to be. And this is just an example of that to make it 3-2. Just a very nice tip. No chance for Connor Hellebuyck. It's completely a redirection, but the Jets are, just when they think that they're maybe going to pull away here, they let LA come right back into the game by a sort of a self-inflicted error. And this is what that was, a Saku Maanalainen with the self-inflicted error, and the Jets unable to bail their teammate out on this one. And then it only takes a minute and 29 seconds later until the Kings tie it up. And who else is it? But it's Anze Kopitar. That's the hat trick for him. And this is all him. He wins the clean face-off, Dave. It's back to Doughty. Adam Lowry just loses him. I mean, Lowry just loses Anze Kopitar, and these are the matchups that Lowry is getting paid for. Winning these matchups is what he's getting paid for, because we know
the 33. It's not his 33 games without a goal.
No, it's certainly not. It's not his offense. There's nothing else there.
And Lowry redeemed himself and made a really nice play to Stenlund on the shorthanded goal. But you're right, Drew. Like, that's what I wanted to highlight on this goal. Like, Kopitar was feeling it tonight. Yeah. But like you said, off of a face-off, goes to the net. Like, you just can't let Kopitar go like that. I don't know else how. And Lowry knows that. Mm-hmm. And you got to give him a little bit of credit, a little slack, because we talked about it, Dubois, right? So Lowry and the centers are filling in for the fact that you don't have big Dubois up the middle. But again, like, it's crunch time, guys, right? Like we talked about it. The Jets are in by far the worst slump of the season.
Yeah.
And these are the types of details that you're talking about, right? Like, they were scoring goals. The goals that wasn't the issue tonight, right? Like, we've been talking about this for weeks, how the Jets have been struggling to score goals. But these are the types of, these are preventable goals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're goals that, look, they're nice plays, but they're also goals that have clear breakdowns involving them, Dave.
Right.
I mean, that's just it. It's, they're nice plays, but at the same time, it's not that you did everything right and the opponent just bested you.
That's right.
There were errors that you could have controlled on these goals that you didn't control, and then the opponent made nice plays to take advantage of your errors that gave them the opportunity in the first place.
Yeah, and look, as he's 100% right, you can see that Anze Kopitar was feeling good in the game, right? Yeah. And I think maybe he thought he was eligible to win a Manitoban, $1 million if he scored 5 tonight, because he looked like that's what he wanted to. And he almost did in the third period. He almost had his, or was it overtime? Sorry. He had a couple of good chances. So, I mean, he was feeling it. And as he said, he's a guy who's, most likely a Hall of Famer. And
no. First ballot.
There you go. Well, I meant, sorry, most likely a first ballot Hall of Famer.
That is a hill I'm willing to die on.
No, I don't. Well, it's not hard. It's not a hard one, considering how good he's been throughout the course of the years and what he's led his team to, all those championships. So I think that it's just a clear reality that, I mean, how many times did the Jets leave him alone throughout the course of this game, and then
just not tie him up?
Well, and I've got the replay up, Dave, and I'm watching it, and it's like Drew said, like, this is a set play. Kopitar wins the faceoff, back to Doughty, goes to the net, and it only takes a second, like a split second, for Lowry just to react slowly. So it's easy for us to sit here and criticize that, but really, when you're talking about a Kings team who's at the end of a road trip, and they need these points, right? Like we talked about it. Both of these divisions are completely wide open, and Drew's right. Like, I mean, there only are 9 teams fighting for 8 playoff spots. The Predators and Blues are done, and obviously there's a bunch of bottom feeders as well that are in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, right?
There's a reason we haven't been doing goal by goal recaps of the Blackhawks Coyotes game tonight, folks.
Man,
yeah,
that Blackhawks lineup is looking pretty bare these days.
Wow,
it's basically Rockford.
It's pretty ugly all around there. In any event, it's just it's great execution by the Kings and poor execution by the Jets. I mean, Adam Lowry can't get beat in that situation. I know it's easy for us to say that, but that's why he's getting paid the money, because his offense is dried up like Barron and not Morgan. But you just can't lose the draw clean and then not be in position to prevent Anze Kopitar from putting his stick on the puck. That said, so it's 3-3 at that point in time. The Kings have come all the way back. The Jets do a good job retaking the lead again, so they get credit here for the brief period of time. Takes them 1 minute and 17 seconds to get to make it 4-3. Kevin Stenlund, his 4th of the season, assisted.
Who else? Drew, you should have said who else but Kevin Stenlund.
Who else but Kevin Stenlund? He gets his 4th of the season, assist to Josh Morrissey and Dylan DeMello. And again, he's got a lot of time and he's got a lot of space and he's in a good shooting position. And Phoenix Copley is left out to dry a little bit here by the Kings. I think it's Sean Durzi Stenlund. Yeah. Stenlund and Durzi are in a puck battle. Durzi, he thought he got tripped. He was not happy that there was not a call on it, but he's on his keister, and Stenlund's got the puck and he's got time and he's got space, and Stenlund wires it past Phoenix Copley to give the Jets the 4-3 lead at the 12-minute mark of the second period.
Right now, Drew, and there was a little bit of a left leg sweep there. I didn't notice that because we don't have the same angle, right? Like that you watch the replays on NHL.com. Closely watch the replay there. Watch Kevin Stenlund's left leg. I'm not saying, hey, I'm not taking anything away from Stenlund, but Durzi could have had an argument there.
Like every game, the officiating had some consistency issues. The officiating
was shady tonight.
Yeah, it had some consistency issues. So I understand where Durzi's coming from. I don't think Stenlund was necessarily completely innocent on the play, but he got away with it. And if the shoe was on the other foot, I'm sure Jets fans would be screaming bloody murder. If the Kings had scored on a similar situation, but whatever it was, there was no call. Stenlund got the puck and he made no mistake. For a guy again who's struggling to score goals, like most of the Jets, especially the Jets' bottom of their lineup, it's nice for them to get goals in this situation like they did.
Right, and let's not take anything away from him. I'm just saying that looking at it, that's the first time I've looked at the replay since it happened live. I'm just saying, I mean, Durzi, you can see why Dave, he was a little bit upset, but yeah, you love the fact that Stenlund breaks his goal scoring slump. And you also like the fact that he goes, he has that shoot first mentality, right? We've talked about it so many times, how the Jets have passed up grade A scoring chances. So you like the fact that Stenlund gets greedy and, he roofs it on Phoenix Copley there. So, and he obviously will get into, his next goal, the shorthanded goal. But yeah, I mean, it's great to see, again, silver linings here. The Jets lose the extra point, but I mean, you love to see a guy like Stenlund who just hasn't been producing any offense as of late. So you like the fact that, he picks up a couple goals in the second period.
Yeah, no question. It's, the Jets now have the 4-3 lead. They run into some penalty trouble, though. Logan Stanley takes a 2-minute cross-checking penalty that I'm really not entirely sure how it was only assessed as a 2-minute cross-checking penalty.
What was bizarre, sorry, Drew, is that it was called a major.
Right. Then they reviewed it
down to a minor.
Yeah.
Isn't it usually the other way around? Like, isn't it,
because I don't think you can.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, it seemed to me like it was at least a minor, but it just seemed like it was odd that they took it down.
Well, that's what they can review. They can only review from a major to a minor.
I know, Drew. What I'm saying is that you would think that the review would just confirm what had happened. What did they see in the review that made them think it wasn't a minor? Like, it was a pretty bad cross check.
No. What did they see in the review that made them think it wasn't a major? Is what you're saying?
That's what I said.
No, you said minor. That's what I meant. Okay, yeah, that's what you meant. I agree. I really was confused by it. I thought it, and again, I mean, I thought he was cut. I thought it was pretty straightforward. So I really don't know, Ezzy. It's a very good question. I'm sure that the officials, when they meet with the pool reporter, will give a full breakdown of that. Yeah, that's not happening.
And it was really, it was really unusual watching it live in the building, because originally I just thought, did the ref not see it and call Logan Stanley for a penalty for being too large? Because that's what it appeared to be upon
large and in charge 2 minutes.
No, honestly, and then you watch the replay and you realize that he actually hit Stanley and bounced off of him. So you're like, well, what are they calling the penalty on? Then you turn around, then you see Stanley turn around and deliver the cross check. So you're like, okay, well, that makes a little more sense. But I mean, yeah, it's an unusual one, but hey, that's what Kevin Stenlund wanted. He wanted to hear a little ABBA. He wanted to hear a little gimme, gimme, gimme.
Well, but that wasn't even
Thank
it.
you, Sweden.
I mean, again, the Kevin Stenlund shorthanded goal doesn't come on this one. It's Stanley in the box, and then Brendan Dillon takes a penalty. So the Jets kill off the 5-on-3. It was a short 5-on-3, about 17 seconds of a 5-on-3. But nonetheless, the Jets kill it off, which is hugely important. And then they kill off the remainder of the Brendan Dillon penalty. But then things get even feistier. Nino Niederreiter, playing his first game as a member of the Winnipeg Jets, was right in it, and he was sort of noticeable all game long, which is what the Jets certainly brought him in for, and the Jets need him to be. Is
shooting in tight, using that size.
Shooting, physical, puck, board battles, that's what he does. He's not much of a playmaker, but that's okay. The Jets have a lot of playmakers on their roster. He takes he gets a 2-minute roughing penalty and a 2-minute illegal check to the head penalty, and then while the Jets are shorthanded, it's Adam Lowry who sets up Kevin Stenlund for the goal to make it 4. Well, hang on. What did this make it? This made it 5-3 for the Jets 5-3 at the 18:26 mark. Fortunately for the Kings that they come back and they win this game, because Kevin Fiala is not going to like this. It's a turnover just sort of off of his stick, that just a bad turnover that leads to the rush, and then Fiala compounds the error by not hustling back and not really picking up anybody. He doesn't take, he sort of half-heartedly takes Lowry, but he leaves Stenlund all alone. And by the time he tries to get after Stenlund, it's too late. And Lowry hits Stenlund with a perfect feed, and Stenlund makes no mistake. And it's 5-3 at this point. This is at the 18:26 mark of the second period, and you think 5-3. The Jets have got their third 2-goal lead of the game. This one seems like it's a shorthanded one. It seems like it should sort of be a bit of a backbreaker.
Yeah, no, you described the goal well there, and it's, what's weird about it is that Fiala's probably got the best hands on the entire team, right? Like, he is. I was telling Dave as we were watching this, like, I still don't know why Minnesota traded him. Like, I realize, there's salary cap issues and everything like that. Like, every team seems to have.
Minnesota traded him for Victor Rask.
Yes, and that was not a good trade, was it?
No, that was not a good trade.
No, but Fiala's, I think, leading the Kings in scoring or second in scoring, right?
Oh, you were talking about why the Wild traded Kevin Fiala.
Sure, you're talking about.
I was talking about Niederreiter back in the day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but you're right, and so it's weird that it was just a bad turnover. I don't know if he was just had his head up and he wasn't looking, or the puck was rolling, or whatever it was. But you're right. Then he kind of trails behind Lowry. And doesn't really have an impact defensively. He just doesn't pick anybody up, because Doughty obviously already has Lowry. And then Stenlund, this was one goal where, look, it's a beautiful pass by Lowry and a nice one-timer by Stenlund. But, especially after Copley, the goals that he was letting in, I mean, that was one where, he had to come up with a big save there. And as we talked about before, that should have been the backbreaker, because you take that 2-goal lead into the third period and you're thinking okay, just shut it down for 20 minutes, and the Jets weren't able to do it. So that's why, it looked like the Kings were going to tie it up on that power play. And so that you thought was going to, swing the momentum in the Jets' favor permanently, but we know what happened in the third. So again, great to see, Lowry and Stenlund, guys that haven't been, Lowry didn't score tonight, so he's still looking for a goal, but you know what we're talking about, especially, he let Kopitar go on the previous goal and, sets up Stenlund nicely, but it's just unfortunate that the Jets weren't able to hang on to the lead.
They were not. And Andre Kopitar, I mean, again, so second period ends, the Jets have a 2-goal lead. What you wanted to start the third period is basically nothing to happen. You want nothing. You want to either score a goal or nothing to happen. Instead, it's the exact opposite. Andre Kopitar, his 4th of the game. After he got his 4th, I would have bet anything he was going to get 5. He didn't, but I would have bet anything that he would have. Andre Kopitar, his 24th of the season, his 4th of the game. Assist to Carl Grundstrom and Sean Dursey at the 1:26 mark. It's a bit of a knuckle puck, a bit of a roller, but he gets all of it. What you don't probably love is Neil Pionk's decision to pinch here. He pinches at the defensive blue line, and he just sort of puts himself into a position where one pass from Grundstrom tees up Kopitar, and the defender. So I guess Brendan Dillon isn't able to come over in time to prevent Kopitar from getting the puck. The centerman, again, Lowry on this line, isn't getting back in time. The Jets are just sort of too aggressive all around at this point of the game. In this situation, and the Kings take advantage, and they make it 5-4 at this point, a minute 26 into the third period, Dave.
Yeah, and you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, well, I've seen this show before.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that the Jets, like I said, to start the show, I think the stat was like 30-3 when they're leading heading into the third period. That's maybe a different Jets team. That's not this current Jets team, which is a little more fragile and a little less confident right now. And so, yeah, Drew, you're right. It's not a goal you like to see, and it's. Again, I don't want to say there's a casualness, but it seems like there's a bit of a casualness. These guys are just, or a lack of crispness, to their game. And Neil Pionk, we've been saying this for a long time now, just doesn't look like Neil Pionk anymore. Mm-hmm. And he just, and whether, it's funny, like, how quick the younger guys, and coaches never admit this, but look, like how soon have we seen how many times have we seen Dylan Sandberg make an error and somehow Dylan Sandberg is now out and Logan Stanley's in? Well, like there's been enough games where Neil Pionk could, maybe you got to give him a night off in the press box and throw one of the other guys in, because right now Neil Pionk is costing your team games. And like, I'm not putting it all on Neil Pionk, but his play of late, and I don't mean 1 or 2 games, has not been sufficient for a guy who wants
seasons.
Well, for sure, but especially this season, not like this season especially. I mean, are you a top 4 defenseman? Not the way you're playing. And so, and they're using him as if he's a top 4. So the Jets need to make some sort of adjustment, because you're giving him the opportunity. He's not taking advantage of the opportunity. Maybe he reduces ice time, whatever it is. But the point is, you got to do something, because he's costing you these goals. And again, that's at least 2 that I can think of tonight, which are, in part, maybe 3 actually. But anyways, the point is, it wasn't a great game for Neil Pionk.
It was not. 5-4 for the Jets at this point in time. The Kings complete the comeback for the third time tonight. Gabe Vilardi, his 19th of the season, assist to Blake Lizotte and Alex Iafallo. And this one, Dylan Sandberg takes a spill, loses an edge, and Vilardi walks in, and he's in tight, but he knows how to score goals, and he goes short side, top shelf on Connor Hellebuyck. Probably one you would rather have Hellebuyck save. You never want to get beat short side in this situation, especially, but it's a bad break for Sandberg. He just toe picks or whatever, and he just catches an edge at a really inopportune time. But the Kings make no mistake. The Kings, had the Jets put it away, because the Jets had power play opportunity.
Plus a 2-on-0.
They had a 2-on-0. Yeah, which led to a power play opportunity.
Shifley and Connor, right, Dave?
Yeah.
They had 2, and it was sort of an awkward 2-on-0. 4-3, by the way. Boston beats Calgary.
You're loving doing that.
What a year for Boston! It almost reminds you guys of like the 2018-19 Lightning.
Yeah,
right, when they had, what did they have, 125 points or something?
Yeah, when they lost to
Columbus. It kind of reminds you, like they just find ways to win games. Like Drew talked about it at the top of the show. Like they were getting badly outshot.
57-19.
Yeah, 57-19, and they still won.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Was it a back-to-back for them?
It was a back-to-back.
Oh, it was a bit. Yeah,
they played in Edmonton last night.
Right.
Absolutely.
How does anybody not think they're the Stanley Cup favorite right now?
I don't know.
Like, they're just like, especially with getting Orlov and Hathaway, and they might get another player too.
Honestly, you know who my Stanley Cup favorite is?
Anybody?
No, a bit of a digression, but if
Carolina,
no, I find no.
Colorado,
yeah. If Colorado makes one move, they need to make one move of somewhat significance.
They got Jack Johnson.
They need to make one move of somewhat significance, and then if they do that, they might cakewalk through the West. Meanwhile, the East is going to be absolutely beating the shit out of each other.
Well, Gabe Landeskog is essentially a trade deadline acquisition, right?
And one more, but they need another forward. They need another forward. They need another center.
Yep.
And they need somebody to sort
They're
of fill
still not
that
as
slot.
deep as they were last year with Kadri and Burakovsky.
Fill the Kadri slot. Yeah, exactly. If they do that, then they're my Stanley Cup favorite. Sorry, that was a bit of a digression there. 5-0, and the Jets had their opportunities to not even get to this point in time. If they score on the 2-on-0, if they score on the subsequent power play, if they score on the earlier power play, the Adrian Kempe cross-checking penalty, you score at any of these, the opportunity knocked and they weren't able to take advantage. Not only that, their power play looked pretty awful.
Yeah,
again,
for sure.
story of recent times.
It looks stagnant. It looks stagnant.
It looks stagnant again. I mean, it just does. I mean, look, Dubois.
They just watched. They just. Sorry, Drew. I was going to say they just watched the Kings put on a masterclass on the power play.
Yeah.
So I mean, they know
even
what they
when
have
the
to
Kings
do.
didn't. Even when the Kings didn't score on the power play, it was dangerous.
Right.
You sort of felt Jets fans had that lump in their throat waiting for the Kings to score on a lot of different good looks. And the Jets, I mean, their power play just doesn't have any sort of rhythm to it. And that's, again, missed opportunity game. And Phoenix Copley was bad tonight, but I'll give him credit because he made a number of big saves in the third period.
Yeah.
There was a save off of Mark Scheifele, I think, where Scheifele turned around and had a pretty good shot. I think Lowry
the puck squeezed
into,
and then he turned around and fired it on him, and
he was good in overtime too.
He was good in overtime. He made the saves in overtime, and that save on Kyle Connor in the shootout was fantastic because Connor.
I thought he was if he puts that an inch higher, that's a goal.
Of course, but he still made the save. Yeah. So I'll give Copley credit there. In the third period, when the Kings couldn't afford to give up a goal, he didn't give up a goal. The Kings battled back. The overtime settles nothing. Adrian Kempe is the only goal scorer in the shootout. I don't love the decision to use Blake Wheeler in the shootout, but whatever. That's obviously something that we doesn't really need to be delved into too deeply. And the Kings win 6-5. Jets.
Well, Drew, you glazed over the most important part. I'm a little disappointed. We found out what Nino Niederreiter's goal song would be. Disco Inferno.
Well, I'm glad he chose.
Sis and Nora Van Elken. Just so you know, it's not the original.
Remember the wrestler Disco Inferno?
I don't know. But people wanted to know what his goal song would be. So there you go.
Shouldn't they have waited till he scored a goal to announce their goal song?
I would have thought that would have been the better course of action. Is anybody sitting there on pins and needles waiting to find out what these guys' goal songs are?
The same thing, Drew.
Yeah.
People were asking. People wanted to know.
Maybe it's because the Jets haven't been scoring a lot of even strength goals. That's why people were excited to find out the goal song. But love to hear ABBA twice.
Tico Napoli is excited about it, as is Kenny's water bottle. So
okay, they're happy. They're happy.
And
about
Maul.
After it's all said and done tonight, the Jets maintain their 5-point lead over the Calgary Flames. The Jets and the Oilers each have 72 points. The Flames trailing both of those teams with 67 points. Everyone has played 61 games. Home and home, Friday, Saturday, between the Jets and the Oilers looms large for a Winnipeg Jets team that is still struggling to get on track. Let's head to break. When we come back, we'll do some contests. We'll read some quotes from the post game from the Jets locker room. Much more to come. The game recap took a whopping 53 and a half minutes almost. We say thank you to our friends at Betway for their sponsorship of the game recap. And I neglected to mention my apologies that Josh Morrissey's second goal of the game, where he walked in from the point and absolutely blew the shot past Phoenix Copley. That is our Seagram's shot of the game, courtesy of our friends at Seagram's. Fireball tastes like heaven, burns like hell, available at all your fine liquor retailers.
Connor should have been the shot of the game, Drew.
Yeah, it could have been Connor too. I guess it depended on if you're more into the ferocity or if you're more into the accuracy. And today I'm more into the ferocity and the speed. The
JMO's shot was pretty good too, though.
They were both pretty good shots. How about that? We can say that the Connor shot is the Seagram's 83 shot of the game, Manitoba's favorite Canadian whiskey, available at all your favorite liquor retailers. Much more to come. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. Rolls on this Tuesday night. We're live on YouTube and all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time. Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com. For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. 11 in the evening on the Tuesday night. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Gentlemen, am I wrong? In your mind, didn't the Jets blow a 2-goal lead 3 times in tonight's game?
We were just talking about that during the break, Drew. Yeah, like they had 3 2-goal leads and then lost the game.
But you could, but I agree with you. But I can understand the rationale. It's like 2-0 was 2-1. Then it became 3. I agree with you. It would, to me, I would conceptualize that as 3
Technically,
2-goal
they
lead.
didn't blow each lead, right? Because it was 2-0.
Okay, so they blew. Then it was.
What he's saying is because it was never 2-all. It was never 2-all.
They never fully blew the lead.
It was never 2-all.
I would say that they blew 3 2-goal leads, though.
In my books, if you're
Let's go to the chat. The
but
chat
remember,
always
it was
bails
never.
us out.
Remember, Drew, it was never 2-all though. It was 2-1.
Right, okay.
Then it was 3. So technically, it is. It's right.
But you blew
would
them, Dave, in the
conceptualize-
sense that you had 2-goal leads 3 times and you didn't hold on to them.
Right, but technically you only blew it when they tie.
When they
up.
tied it.
You don't actually. So it's 2-goal lead.
Okay, so if you're defining it, if you're defining the word as, if you're defining it as blown, as in the opponent coming all the way back, then it only happened twice.
Yeah.
But the Jets had 3 2-goal. The Jets had 2-goal leads at 3 different times. The reason we're talking about this, folks, is because both Scott and Mike, good friends of ours, of course, tweeted that the Jets blew a pair. So two goal leads, and I'm thinking I see both sides of the. I see both sides of it.
I don't think anybody's necessarily wrong or right. I think it's just a matter of interpretation.
Yes, fair enough. That is a matter of interpretation. I guess we are splitting hairs a little bit, but nonetheless, I understand. At least now that we've talked it through, I now understand where where Mike and Scott are coming from, and I also understand where we're coming from. We're basically saying a very similar thing with slight nuance differences between the two. Anyways, that's probably doesn't need to get delved into any deeper than that. Let's see what some of the post-game comments coming out of the Jets dressing room were. I had these here handy a second ago. Rick Bowness, this courtesy of Murat Atesh. Bowness's overall assessment on the game. The compete was there, a couple blown assignments, a couple fluky breaks. It goes right to the hottest player in the game. We competed hard tonight. Were the blown assignments about confidence? No, that's just a mistake. Don't overanalyze it. So that courtesy Winnipeg Jets head coach Rick Bowness. Let's talk about Nino Niederreiter a little bit. This is what Rick Bowness had to say. Huge. He's a solid top six guy. We have to get the power play going clearly. He was good in the role. We asked him to play in the power play. He did a good job in the bumper position. That's what he is. A big guy that goes to the net and finishes checks. So we really haven't delved deep into the acquisition of Nino Niederreiter yet. So let's take a couple minutes now and do that. Look, I think this is a good acquisition for the cost, a second round pick. To me, it's a pretty much a no-brainer. It fits perfectly within the window of the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, the next 2 years, this year plus next year, are allegedly the window where we know after that everybody becomes a free agent. Pretty sure all three of us become free agents at that point in time as well. So everything about the acquisition makes logical sense. I have no quibbles with it. There just needs to be more from my perspective.
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit, but you weren't around for the Islanders game, Drew, so we'll indulge you here.
I was like, I'm pretty sure we did talk about it.
You're right. I guess
the second half of the
Islanders game. Yes.
No, but I mean, look, he's only played one game. It's not like, Niederreiter's been a Jet for a month or anything like that. But
I forgot
I'm with you, Drew.
I blocked the entire Islanders game out of my consciousness.
It was terrible. People paid money to watch that game, but
I know
this is what keeps coming back to me. I mentioned this to Dave. If you go back to the summer, there were two guys that I wanted the Jets to acquire. I don't know if you remember this, Drew. Niederreiter was one of them.
I do.
Mason Marchment was the other one.
Yes.
He obviously went to Dallas. So Niederreiter, I'm not saying that, I'm some type of genius. I'm far from it. All I'm saying is that I wonder if Chevy tried to sign Niederreiter because he was a UFA. So I wonder if Chevy, made that attempt. Obviously,
Weber asked him that yesterday in practice. Weber asked him about he kind of punted. He said Winnipeg was on my radar, but he didn't really get into But Kenny did ask him in the media availability as to whether Winnipeg was a consideration for him during free agency.
Right. And as you know, Dave, it's not like all of a sudden a player, becomes appealing to a GM, right? Like these guys have certain players that they would like to acquire for sometimes years, right? So I love the player. I just can't believe that Chevy got Nino Niederreiter for just a second round pick. Like I said to Dave, you would have thought that David Poile / Barry Trotz would have wanted at least a prospect in return. To me, the return was way too low for the Predators, especially considering what they got for Tanner Jeannot and Matthias Ekholm, right? So that's what I think is most impressive. Chevy gets an A+ from me here on this move because he only had to give up a second round pick, and it's a 2024 second round pick. It's not because they don't have a 2023 second round pick. So everything about this move, I love the player. He's going to help the Jets score goals. And I love the fact that they only had to give up a second round pick to get him.
And Drew, just to to go off of what Ezzy just talked about, because I think it's relevant. I don't know if fans heard Elliot Friedman's comments on the Jeff Merrick show, which you can find on a little site called illegalcurve.com. You can also listen to the conversation. We've got some of it transcribed. But one of the things he said, speaking of Niederreiter and Logan Stanley, he said, so Friedman was asked, someone actually was unsolicited, but said there's been some action around Jets defenseman Logan Stanley. He said, someone told me they were actually surprised that he didn't go to Nashville as part of the Niederreiter trade, but I've heard there's been a little talk about Stanley as the Jets look to do some things. And then Merrick added, the Jets could be looking to bring in a defenseman. Well, that's real insightful. And then Friedman added, I think they've been looking around at Jacob Chychrun, no question about it, but I just don't know what the likelihood of it is. So those are basically all the comments. Still go to
Are
LegalCurve.com.
Merrick and Friedman doing a podcast like every day now?
Every day.
Yeah.
Well, Merrick does a show every day, and Friedman goes on it every day. And Weber was on it a couple days yesterday when we were at it was actually funny because we were at I was at practice, and then Weber's off in one of the sections by himself, all animated. And I'm like, should we be watching this and then listening to the Jeff Merrick show, getting Weber's tremendous insight? I listened to it after though.
And was it tremendous insight?
It was good. It was good stuff. He talked about some possibilities, whether it was Jacob Chikrin and who else did he talk about? He talked about Colton Parayko. He talked about a number of players. So if you want to hear Kenny's insight on the Jeff Merrick show, go to illegalcurve.com. I've got the full interview available to listen to.
You know, okay, so you mentioned Colton Parayko. I'm
not on the poll.
No, I know that. I know you're not, but enough people have mentioned the Colton Parayko's name.
Tough, Drew.
The contract
7 more years.
Yeah,
the contract is tough.
Yeah, that's
swallow.
a tough one.
Yeah, it's too much.
I like
money.
Parayko just as much as anybody. He's a good big defenseman, and he's not a one-trick pony either. Like he's the real deal. He's a good all-around defenseman. But that's 7 years. I don't know about that.
It's not going to age well.
He'll be 36 at the end of it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like he's 23. That he's 29 already, and he plays a physical style. He's not one to shy away from some physicality. So I just don't see that contract aging well. So I'd be surprised if somebody is eagerly taking on that contract between now and Friday. But obviously, strange things happen as you get closer to the trade deadline. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Let's briefly talk about today's moves and the chaos that ensued today, and really has ensued over the last
Phyllis.
48 hours. Yes, there you go. Everything on Phyllis is giving a shout out to everything on illegalcurve.com. She knows what she's talking about. The moves were fast and furious. I don't know that anybody has, taken a step ahead in the East. I don't know that anyone's, now significantly better than they were.
Drew.
What's that?
The Rangers.
Patty Kane?
Well, Patty Kane
and Tarasenko.
Well, no, but Tarasenko was so long. I'm talking about moves from the last week or so.
Yeah.
But so the Rangers are definitely a dangerous team. Look, all the teams in the East are dangerous. You can't really tell me. The only one who I don't think is really done enough at the trade deadline so far, I don't like Carolina.
I don't think Puljujärvi was a big move?
Or Drew, what about Pittsburgh? I feel like Pittsburgh has a move coming.
Apparently, JT Miller has.
JT Miller apparently is the talk there.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's a little rumblings there that JT Miller could
that would I mean, look, at Pittsburgh could miss the playoffs though, right?
Well, I think the problem is in Pittsburgh is that
half the teams could miss the playoffs.
Ron Hextall's job is now is there's talk about his job being in jeopardy over some of the blown moves that they've made.
And he's been there for so long too.
But they're talking. I mean, I don't know if you read Rob Rossi in The Athletic. I think this weekend he said that it's time that Hextall has to be out. That his decisions and his roster management has set the team back. And it's inexcusable what he's done. While still at the same time managing to keep Letang and Malkin and Crosby and the core together, but at the same time all the errors that he's made around them.
I have a question. When did the media start deciding which GMs stick around and which ones have to go?
It's an opinion column is what it was. So, I appreciate that he actually had a strong opinion on something. I mean, it was interesting to read. To me, Carolina hasn't done enough. Puljujärvi is exactly a Carolina player, but he doesn't move the needle for me. They're still, I think,
they just need to acquire Patrick Laine, and then they're going to reunite the 2015-16 World Junior line, right? So but I mean, look, but the argument can be made though, Drew, right? That I would make the argument does Carolina have to Carolina's been a top team in the league the whole year, right? I don't know how much. I think, we talked about it on the Saturday show, right? The arms race.
Yeah.
The Rangers are loading up. The Devils are loading up. The Islanders have loaded up. So many teams in the East, the Bruins, the Leafs, right? Everybody. So in that sense,
let me tell you,
I agree with you, but I still wouldn't want to play Carolina. A Rod Brind'Amour coach team with the talent they have on that roster, and they could make a move right before Friday. I'm not sure what that move is going to be, right? There's a lot of guys that could still get moved, like maybe Max Domi goes back to Carolina. I don't know. I just never thought that Carolina was going to be in on one of the bigger names. But fair enough, Drew, that you think that, because when you look at what all the other teams have done, the Rangers have got better. We talked about it. Like, we could go through all the teams in the East, right? In that sense, yeah, maybe, the Hurricanes should get in on the fun.
All I want to say is this year's playoffs, the first round, my first round is always my favorite round anyways. This first round is going to be unfreaking, like, you are not going to want to miss from like the start of the first round to the end of the first round. Every single night, you're going to want to watch like 5 hockey games.
Hook up the Lightning and the Leafs and the Rangers and Devils to my vein.
I'm telling you right now, every single game is going to be incredible in the East. I still think the West is looking to have some great games too. But
they always do have great games.
No, I know. But
the talent levels on the East is going to be.
But the East is going to be such an exciting first round and probably second round as well, that it's just going to be phenomenal to watch.
Can I just make one point and we'll move on? Because
you're the host. You can
make that, Drew. You can do whatever you want, man.
Look, I have no problem with the acquisition by Toronto of Luke Schenn. Cost a 3rd round pick.
And he was drafted by the Leafs too.
I know he's drafted by the Leafs, but
who says he can't go home again?
Well, you clearly can.
But he's from Saskatchewan, so I don't know where he's going home.
Yeah.
He's going to the team that to the team that drafted him. If Luke Schenn was that good, and he's a fine player, but if Luke Schenn was that good, you know where he wouldn't have been playing? Vancouver. He would have been more sought after in the offseason.
I don't know, Drew. I mean, I think Tampa, apparently the rumor was Tampa wanted him back.
No, they wanted him back. I don't doubt that they wanted him back because he's a good playoff veteran. He's a good guy to have around in the playoffs, but he's not a difference maker like everyone's making it.
No.
Yeah, but Drew, remember, you don't necessarily need, like, look, first of all, Toronto can't afford a difference maker. They don't have the cap space.
And also, that's not what they need. They have Matthews and Tavares and Nylander and Marner. It's defense that they needed. And in that sense, it's also funny that they replaced Jake Muzzin with Jake McCabe. I don't know if anybody else found that funny. Left side defenseman. McCabe is good. I look at Drew. This is not
actually McCabe. I think I like McCabe for Toronto.
This is not the 2012 LA Kings defense with Doughty and Robin Regeer and I'm not going to mention the other guy's name that did something really, really inexcusable.
I can't even remember his name, so it's good that you don't.
Voyanov. I didn't really want to Slava Voyanov. He was a really good defenseman. He's also an idiot who we should never really give any airtime to, right? But the point is that the Leafs defense, like, I love the Giordano set the shot blocking record. That's just awesome. But yeah, like you Muzzin, you had to replace Muzzin. So in that sense, they filled the gaps. And obviously, they would rather have Luke Schenn for the playoffs than Rasmus Sandin, for example. Obviously, Timothy Liljegren is a better defenseman, and Dubas and Shanny believe that, right? But yeah, Drew, I look, the Ryan O'Reilly trade is the big one. And the thing is, the Leafs are look at Noel Acciari, Luke Schenn, Jake McCabe, Dave. You're getting these guys for the specific reason of beating the Lightning in the first round, right? That's so right. I the moves, we could debate, how good the moves were, but yeah, Drew, fair enough. Like, Luke Schenn is a 3rd pairing defenseman.
That's what it is.
But that's fine. But again, remember, you need those 3rd pairing defensemen. You need the guys who are. Drew, remember, you need depth.
That's not worth acquiring them, but they make it out to be.
Hello, I'm telling you right now, if the Jets could acquire, guys like that.
You're not listening to what I'm saying, Dave. You're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not worth acquiring them, but if they win the Stanley Cup, it's not going to be because of Luke Schenn.
Well, how do you know that?
Because I know that. Because if he was that important, he wouldn't be on Vancouver to begin with. That's what I'm saying.
When you become a GM.
Thank you. I will. Contest time. Ezzy, Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
Yeah, let's do Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
Post game shows like the length of the Saturday show, for God's sake.
It really is.
Okay, I'm actually gonna split this into like a Nito Niederreiter show, a trade deadline show, and a post game show.
I like it. Okay, Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. We're gonna give it to Lawrence Grisenda. Hopefully I'm saying that right. You've got it up there. I just thought this was a hilarious comment. Jets top 6 are like a studio of artists, creative and brilliant at times, but create a large mess of paint and supplies on the floor, our D zone most nights. Drew and I can relate to having a lot of markers and crayons and everything like that. So I like that comment about.
My kids are like cats now. They're into playing with these massive rolls of like yarn almost.
Interesting.
It drives me absolutely bananas. And I have to like get over myself because they're doing what kids are supposed to be doing. It's like creative and independent play, and they're not watching a screen and they're having fun and they're using their imaginations. But it drives me absolutely insane that I have these sort of little fluffs of string and yarn all over my house now. It just drives
Isn't
me
that
nuts.
isn't that what parenting is? Just your kids driving you insane all the time?
Well, it's like my OCD is kicking in about having stuff around, but the kids are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I just have to like serenity now, serenity now, serenity now. And then I throw a whiskey bottle and I hit the referee.
I love that. Okay, so Lawrence Grisenda, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs, ICSEG, and Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you. Just like Jason Smith, not the former Devils and Leafs defenseman, but the viewer who won the last Tough Duck hardest hitting comment, and he was in North Glen, Colorado. And we ship out to the US.
There you go.
And by the way, Jason always has great to give Jason a little more kudos. We got to give Jason kudos because he always has great comments on our videos. And so I want a big thanks to Jason for always doing that. And you can be like Jason and T. Conapoli. He often does that as well. So we always appreciate that. Even after the videos are done, drop a comment, drop a like for sure.
Drop it like it's hot, Dave.
But drop comments both on the videos.
Nobody wants to see Dave dropping anything like it's hot.
And when I'm dropping I'm dropping some knowledge on you, like it's hot. And drop it on the podcast.
It only took him an hour and 15 minutes to do that.
What's that?
Drop some knowledge on us.
I've been dropping knowledge on you since the start of this podcast. Drew.
Okay, then give us some knowledge about who is the Illegal Curve merchandise contest winner for tonight's game, Dave.
Well, put their name up because I don't know it off the top of my head, Drew.
Can look
Paul
at the same
Pritchko. Well, I could have, but I mean, both my hands
Paul
were
needs
down.
some more vowels in his last name.
He's Paul Scrabble is the winner of tonight's. I'm sure he's heard that his whole life.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, Paul is the winner, so congratulations to Paul. You are the IC merch.
Pritchko would be my guess.
Pritchko, that's what I said.
Yeah, Pritchko. Okay,
so
that name, sorry, Dave, we both keep cutting you off here. It reminds me of former New York Rangers forward Peter Pruka, double P.
What about Zygmunt Palffy?
Wasn't he the guy who was traded for Jesse Puljujärvi today? It was like
some double. It was a double P guy who's unsigned.
Pistola or something like that. Yeah. I think he's a college player, right? Apparently he's okay.
No, I think he's finished.
Oh, is he finished?
Yeah.
Okay, well I'm finished now. So, anyways, so we've got congratulations to Paul.
So apparently.
Oh, here we go.
The Kings and the Blue Jackets, this is courtesy of Elliot Friedman, are working on a Korpisalo and Gavrikov deal.
Yeah.
And one of the pieces that will go to Columbus is Jonathan Quick.
Whoa.
And a first-round pick will also be involved. So the deal is being worked on. It's not yet confirmed.
Wow.
But it sounds like it's Korpisalo, Gavrikov. They're the big pieces in that deal.
Wow.
And Quick will go back to Columbus. And a first-round pick. You wonder if Quick if that's
done.
Just the salary cap. I wonder if he retires or what happens with that at that point in time. But
let me tell you something, boys. This has been the craziest. Wow. Anyway, sorry, we got to finish off this part.
The craziest trade deadline. The craziest lead up to the trade deadline. There's going to be no players left to trade by Friday.
Chevy will be.
TSN has a music video or something they're playing instead. They already previewed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's on Duthie tweeted about.
There's nothing.
I like Duthie.
Didn't Gino Reda put on the goalie equipment last year?
No, there's nothing worse than when they get really self-indulgent. Not that we don't do that here on this show. But
what do you think this whole show is?
I know, but I mean, I'm not really paying attention to myself. I just like to critique other people, Drew. Okay. So, anyways, let's give out the unique code word because this show's already been 14 hours.
Self-indulgent.
This show is so far up its own ass all the time. It might as well be our logo.
Actually, just give me a picture of Mendel's face. Anywho, the unique code word.
Yes, the unique code word for the Illegal Curve contest for tonight's post-game show.
Hollywood North, because of course that's, as everyone knows, lots of movies made here in Manitoba. There's been
movies shot in this living room here.
Well, we don't talk about those kind of movies, but
Channel 597 on DirecTV back in the day.
Yeah, they're like Russ Meyer films.
Yeah, that was a quick one there, Drew. You can pick that one up pretty quick. Anywho,
well, Spencer Sisters, which has been
easy. We got Spencer in the chat. Don't start talking about Spencer Sisters.
Don't bring Spencer into this.
The Spencer Sisters, which is advertised all over the Jets broadcast on TSN, was filmed right outside my living room window.
What is Spencer Sisters?
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
So clearly, you haven't been watching the broadcast that closely, Dave. You have an excuse. You've been at the games, but it's some stupid CTV show that they've been plugging ad nauseum during the Jets games in there, and it was a show that was filmed right outside my house.
Oh,
so
I did. Also, three
they
people
were
who have
really
not been
annoying, by the way. Like they'd be like, sir, please don't walk your dog there. You're in the chute. I'm like,
Really?
I'm on my yard. I'm going to walk my dog wherever I want to.
Anyhow, well, they film a lot of movies.
Stacey Farber's in that.
Who?
I don't know. I Googled it. She's one of the actresses.
Which one were you looking at? The Spencer Sisters one or the movie that was filmed in Dave's living room?
Yeah, easy there, Tiger. I don't need that on my ISP. Thank you very much, Ginsburg. But anywho, so everybody get a chance to enter the contest, and you two can win. Now, just so you know, this word will work on both the February and new March one. So the new March link is up. So enter the March contest because that will be in effect. But if you enter it on this one, we'll make sure that we can draw from both. So do what you got to do. Enter those words. Enter the contest. Go to illegalcurve.com. I have got so much Jets, Moose, Ice. Speaking of the Ice, I'll do this one quick because we're not going to give it a game recap because as Drew is saying, he's going to need all his fingers. 10 goals. 10 goals today for the Winnipeg Ice.
As 8, not 9, but 10.
10 goals.
10 goals.
10 goals for the Winnipeg Ice, who destroyed the Edmonton Oil Kings. The
Ice are destroying the entire Western League.
They are. Well, except for Seattle. Seattle and the Ice are going to be one hell of a battle. I think when it's all said and done. But the Winnipeg Ice,
Reed Schaefer, Dave.
There's a lot of Brad Lambert's on that team. Tyrell Bauer.
Didn't he just get traded today? Reed Schaefer? Didn't he go to Nashville
he's in Nashville now.
Yeah.
They traded away the Edmonton-born kid. So we'll see about that. But anywho, point is that
I like that move for the Oilers.
Yeah, no, that's Ekholm's a nice addition for sure.
Like is this musical chairs and like Jacob Chikrin's just like he's the odd man out?
He's
like
still in.
Man,
he's still
could
in.
you imagine?
Chikrin hasn't been traded yet.
Could you imagine if he ends up not getting traded? Sorry, I just killed my own thought with another thought, but like I got to tell you, like that, like the fact that he's been held out for he hasn't played hockey
2 full weeks.
More than 2 weeks. It's crazy.
2 weeks.
Oh, is it exactly?
Exactly.
But I think it's like 6. What is it? 6 games, 7 games? Like it's insane. Anyways, quickly though. So yeah, the Ice win 18-2 in their is the aggregate score in the 2 games in Edmonton. They're off to Medicine Hat, I believe. They're on a 10-game road swing right now. They've won 11 straight games. Their winning percentage is like almost 900. It's like 868. The Ice are phenomenal. And so they've got 3 more games on the road. I believe Medicine Hat is tomorrow night. And then the Moose quickly, they were doing their backyard rink. It was the first time they've done a Moose backyard rink in weather that was not minus 40. But hey, another Winnipeg family, the Priestley family, they got a chance to celebrate their backyard rink with Declan Chisholm, Jansen Harkins, Ashton Sautner, and Greg Morales. So a nice way for them to give back to the community. And they're back. They practice, what is today? Tuesday. So they're off tomorrow. They're back in practice on Thursday.
There you have it, Dave M, with another little bit of a recap of all the good stuff happening with the Ice and the Moose. The Jets end up losing tonight 6-5 to the Los Angeles Kings. Final word tonight goes to our buddy Mike McIntyre. This tweet, courtesy of him, with 21 games to go. The Jets are 3 points out of first in the Central Division, 4 points out of first in the Western Conference, yet 5 points out of being below the playoff line. That just emblematic of how close it is in the Western Conference, numbers 1 through 9. Big thank you to all the sponsors of the Illegal Curve post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. We're for sure back on Friday evening for the post-game show of the Jets and the Oilers. So that'll be at 10:45 p.m. But stay tuned to all of our social media and our website, illegalcurve.com, and we'll keep you abreast if there's going to be any additional shows between now and then. We'll see what happens, or we'll see if we wait until Friday's post-game show to bring it all together and put a bow on the trade deadline. Big thanks to all of you for joining us. It's been a fun post-game show. It's been a long post-game show, nearing an hour.
Might be the longest one ever.
25 minutes. Yeah, probably pretty close to the longest one ever. Lots going on in the hockey
We're just getting ready for the playoffs, right?
There you go. Well, the Jets need to get there first, Ezzy. Time will tell if they're
He was talking
before
about
the round, right?
He was talking about the ice and Moose
and the
playoffs.
Moose. Yeah, I know that's what he was talking about.
Talking about Calder playoffs.
For Dave Minuk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks for joining us until Friday. Maybe before then, we shall see. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.